In this episode of Sam's Motor Machine, we start the process of turning the cheapest 4.4 TDV8 Range Rover into an Overlander. And this is going to be a multi-part series showing you exactly how I'm going to do it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on the rest of the series. While I would love to sit here and show you cool drone shots of the L322 all day, right now it's time for a quick wash. So that's the first wash on the Range Rover done since I did that big detailing session back around Christmas time back in the UK. You guys can watch that video by clicking up here if you haven't seen it already. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that most of the focus of my videos on this car have been kind of renovating it, doing a light restoration, basically bringing it back from a fairly abused farmer's vehicle that it was when I first got it to the kind of mean, clean off-road / daily commuting machine that you see here today. But aside from a couple of jobs, I'm pretty much getting to the point now where all of that kind of titivation work is almost coming to a close on the Range Rover. So it got me thinking about what I want to do next with this vehicle, what direction I want to take the content, how to get the most enjoyment out of the vehicle, and where to go next with it, basically. If you guys look back at my channel, back quite a few years now, I have done a bit of overlanding before in the past. I went to Morocco in 2015, and I've done a couple of European tours, but what I'd really love to do is use this Range Rover to do touring around all around Ireland, see all the sights in Ireland, all the beautiful west coast, down into Kerry, all that kind of stuff, and also get back into Europe and do a nice big European tour, maybe go and visit Ben's garage like we've talked about in the past. And so to that end, I bought my first accessory that we're going to need to go overlanding. Because everybody knows you can't possibly go overlanding or camping even without one of these. I know that on some Frontrunner rack installs you actually have to drill through the roof and nut and bolt it through the roof and try and seal it up, stop any leaks, but thankfully on the Range Rover L322 at least, that's not the case. So these are basically just strong aluminium extrusions with a T-slot in the top here, with mounting holes with our bolts coming through in order to pick up on the Range Rover's mounting roof mounting holes. And for between the rail and the roof of the Range Rover, Frontrunner supplied these kind of rubber gaskets that I guess are just meant to protect the roof a little bit and I guess isolate the rack from the roof a little bit. Maybe it will help a little bit with NVH. These are basically just long strips of rubber which are profiled to fit the strips here. Now, this piece of extrusion is actually straight, as you guys can see, and the roof of the Range Rover actually follows a gentle curve. So what's going to happen is we'll put our middle bolt in first, and then as we tighten these down, this will basically conform to the shape of the roof of the Range Rover like that, and that'll be absolutely fine. These are the original stainless steel button head screws that were originally fixing the factory bars down, and they're perfect for this. So not going to go crazy tight just yet. Make sure we get everything lined up first properly. Situated under there nicely. We'll just pull this down a little bit more to hold it in place. Now come along with our ratchet. Just tighten these guys up nice and tight because we don't want it coming off the roof, ideally. So yeah, that's one rail mounted. Just got to do the same again on the other side, and then we can start thinking about lifting the roof rack on and getting it positioned on these slider brackets here. So yeah, looking good. These are actually mounted back to front or upside down. So they should be smaller in the middle going up towards the edge, but they're actually the other way around. So that one wants to be there and that one wants to be there. So let's just get those switched around now. So that's our rails and our feet installed on top of the Range Rover. Pretty nice and easy there. The next step's basically going to be to lift the rack, which is fully assembled at this stage, up on top, which is going to be at least a 2-man job, or in my case, 1 man, 1 strong woman job. And once we get all the feet aligned, pop our bolts through and start squaring up the rack with the roof, and then get it all tightened down. Careful, it's wet there. Okay, it's probably just going to have to sit on the roof first.
Okay. I'm going to have a problem with the wing mirror.
Can you go around it first?
Okay.
Right, and just gently pop it down there for now. Just rest it. Trousers are falling down. So now the rack is up there, loosely bolted on everywhere, so everything can slide around and move, and that's because we need to get it squared up with the roof and centered. So we need to get it positioned back to front where we want it, so the position of it lengthways and sideways relative to the roof of the car, and basically just making sure it's all square with the roof and in the position that we want it before we bolt it all down. So I'm pretty happy with that position, sort of front to back, but we do need to make sure it's the same on both sides, and just adjust it, make minute adjustments if it's not. So we're going to take some measurements from there to the front of the rack is about 180 mil. Just check it on that side. And this guy is about 160 mil, so it needs to come back. It's about 180. It needs to come forward a bit now on this side. So we should know now then that it's square front to back. So that's about 130 on this side and about 130 on this side, so perfect. So now I can go along with my ratchet spanner and tighten up the nuts that hold the brackets onto the rails, so the forward and backwards adjustment. So that's the position sorted front to back, and now we've got to do side to side. And as you guys can probably see, at the moment it's slightly skew whip, it's off onto one side. So we'll go around with a tape measure, get it even on both sides, but I can see already it's going to have to go over that way a bit. 85 mil that side, just over 85 that side, so pretty much there. And then at the front, about 50 mil that side, and about 40 mil this side, so this needs to come across, not that much. So putting on about 45 mil on each side. And some of you guys might be wondering why there's kind of more overhang at the back than there is at the front. It's because the roof rack's square and the shape of the roof of the Range Rover actually tapers towards the back. It comes down and tapers in towards the back, so that's the reason for that. So the back is now pretty much perfect, so I'm going to nip these up. So that's bang on there now, so let's get that locked in position. So now we've got the rack centered side to side and we've got it in our longitudinal position that we want. The only thing we've got left to do now is basically get it sitting level relative to the ground. Now, Frontrunner says in their instructions you've got to get it level to the ground as opposed to the vehicle. Obviously, because if you've got a tent up there or anything else, you don't want it slanting all the time. So we'll put our level up there. The Range Rover's on pretty level ground and it's in access mode and it's pretty level as well. So let's see what we've got here. So I think we basically need to bring the front up slightly, not much, because ideally we'll have it slightly nose down rather than sticking the front up in the air. about 95mm there, and on this side we're at about 95mm. So one just final finishing touch is just to put these black plastic covers over these bolt heads to hide them a little bit and protect them a little bit, I guess, as well. And that is a very neat looking rack. So I just wanted to hop up here and show you guys why I think these racks are so versatile and so awesome. And it all has to do with these slots that you can see in all of the slats and actually running all the way around the outside of the rack as well. Now these slots are designed for attaching pretty much anything you can imagine, anywhere you'd like, all over the rack. And I've got a little example of it here with these official Frontrunner tie-down eyes. So these are stainless steel tie-down eyes. You basically find a hole, slide it into position, screw it down, lock it in, and then basically you've got a really strong, sturdy tie-down point anywhere you want on the vehicle roof. And there you go, 2 more tie-down points, just like that. And you can do a similar thing with these outer T-slots as well, so yeah, absolutely awesome. Not only that, we could also add more slats in here as well in these spaces, because there's bolts here ready for it to go in order to make a completely flat floor if you wanted. So like a platform for standing on or sitting on, you could easily add in a few more slats here and make that however you want it. So yeah, bloody awesome. As you guys can see, I came out here into the woods to get a few glamour shots for you guys to show off the new roof rack and the Rangy in general, how she's looking. Got some drone shots as well, so hopefully you guys will have seen those and hopefully they look pretty good as well. Well, I thought whilst I was here in this pleasant environment, we would have a little bit of a chat about what the plans are for this, in addition to the roof rack, in aid of turning it into an overland vehicle. Now the main purpose of the roof rack is actually going to be to hold a roof tent. And there's a few different types of roof tents if you guys have seen them. You range from the kind of original kind of safari style roof tents that are generally all fabric and they fold out to give you a place to sleep off the ground. But the type I'm actually interested in most for the Range Rover are the new type, getting a bit more common now, hard shell roof tents. Not only are they a little bit thinner so they don't stick up as much and catch the wind quite as much as those traditional types of tents, but they also look really slick as well. And I think a black hard shell rooftop tent is going to look really good on top of this Frontrunner, on top of the black Range Rover here, and that'll look really smart. So I'm looking at various models of tents that we can put on top of the roof rack. I haven't ordered anything yet, but I will be ordering something fairly soon, I hope. And hopefully we'll get that here, and I'll show you guys that, and we'll review it, and we'll test it out. And that'll be one step done on the overlanding checklist. Now obviously a lot of the focus on an overland vehicle when you convert in a 4x4 like this is going to be on the back and the load space area. So my current plan is basically to build a load space system out of aluminium extrusions basically. And I'll put some images on screen so you guys know what I'm talking about here, but basically an aluminium extrusion that you can adjust and move around to where you want to basically build out a storage system for the back of the Range Rover that's going to work well for overlanding. Now a key thing about this system is it's going to have to be easily removable from the Range Rover, because quite often I use the Rangy as a van. I'll fold the seats down and use it basically to cart stuff around. So whatever we put in here has to be really easy to remove, and I have a plan in mind for that as well. But basically this system will consist of something that holds a fridge slide, so probably a fridge on the left there that will slide out so you can easily access it. 12-volt fridge that will be powered off of the electrical system. That's another area that's probably going to have to be upgraded back here. And then probably some kind of a kitchen or a drawer here that will pull out to give you somewhere to cook and stuff like that. Now talking of the electrical system, I've already added a few switches and relays back here, as you guys might have seen in a very early video. But what we'll probably do is add a second battery back here. So if we're going to be having extra loads like a fridge, it might be necessary to add a second battery back here in this compartment down here, which I think there's space. If I don't actually wire in a proper leisure battery, I do have a Bluetti power station that I'm keep meaning to show you guys that I was sent by them, which basically is a big rechargeable battery with lots of outlets on it that can kind of function as a leisure system in itself. So that'll be coming in a future video, and we'll have a look at that and see if it's powerful enough and functional enough to do the job basically without putting a second battery in. The Bluetti power station actually has inputs for solar panels as well, which is a nice feature. Perhaps we could chuck a solar panel up on top of the roof tent up there once that's there, just to keep everything topped up and keep the fridge running once that's in there. So yeah, lots of options. In terms of water and cleaning and washing and that kind of thing, I want to keep that really simple, basically as simple as a tub of water that you can use for your washing and cleaning and drinking, and we may not even go as far as putting a pump on that for, you know, simplicity's sake basically. Hot water for showering and washing would be a really nice feature to have when you're out and about, but we'll have to look into it and see how much complexity it's going to add to the system. And aside from that, the Range Rover is pretty much already pretty well equipped for some light overlanding / camping across Ireland and maybe getting into Europe as well. The Cooper Discoverer 83s that we fitted a couple of years ago now are holding up really, really well. Probably still got at least 60-70% tread on them, and they would be definitely more than enough for the kind of tracks and trails that I would have in mind.
And aside from needing a service soon, I'd say the Rangy is in pretty good shape for a bit of adventurising. The fact is that these cars, even in totally standard form, are more than capable, and the additions that I'm making are really only for convenience and creature comfort. And if the overlanding bug bites as deeply for me as it did for me and my friends back in Morocco in 2015, who knows where we could end up in this amazing vehicle.